Hi everyone. Hope you guys are having a great week. Today the Kata Katha session will be conducted by Chamithri Kayshala, and she will be talking about the perspectives by the generation, a little bit of information for us regarding the Gen Zs. So without further ado, we'll start the session. Chamithri, over to you.
Hi. Okay. Thank you so much, Senia. Hi, everyone. Hope you guys are keeping well today. This is Kata Katha. This is hosted by Creative Software. Thanks to the marketing team. This month, the edition of June will be done by me. This will be a little bit about Gen Z. So if you guys are working with Gen Zs, or if you have any supervisors or bosses who don't exactly understand how Gen Z works, then tell them to join this as well. Maybe they can understand a few things and see why Gen Z does their things a different way that compared to other generations. So I think we can start off. I'll go dive into it. But before I actually start the presentation, let me give you an introduction to who I am, just in case any of you who have joined who don't know me. I'm Chamithri Kayshala, and I'm a human resource intern here at Creative Software. And I'm born in 2001, which makes me a Gen Zer as well. And I work with a few Gen Zs here on the fourth floor of Creative Software. Apart from that, I've been here since around January. So I've gotten accustomed to how creative works and the culture inside the company. So let's dive in and see what I have to say regarding Gen Z, because as someone from the Gen Z, I would love to represent our generation to the ones that are older, for example, millennials and above. Okay, so just before we start off, I would like to say if anyone is not familiar with which year to which year Gen Z is, that would be 1997. Anyone born between 1997 to 2013. So if you're born within that gap, then good luck, congratulations, you're a Gen Z. Um, did you know that one third of the population is now considered as Gen Z? By 2023, most of the population have now become Gen Z. So if you're a Gen Z, I hope you're proud to be born in this generation. Okay, so let's start with the first slide. Since people born into Gen Z are starting from the year 1997, most of us are slowly starting to get into the corporate world. So some of us are still, of course, in high school or even middle school, but now most of us are starting to slowly put ourselves into the corporate industry. So let's see what we as Gen Zers have to say when we are placed into a working environment which might be new to not just us, but the coming Gen Zs as well. So these are just a few things that we as Gen Zers would like to see in our working environment. And the first one would be diversity. So why is diversity important, and why do Gen Zers love it when there is more diversity within a working culture? Well, back in the day, I would say in my father's era, or like Gen X, having this diversity would mostly be like, or give another race a chance to be in a position in a company. But now in 2023, Gen Zers don't necessarily mean that it should be identified into a gender or a race. We need more orientation and more identifiers. So we would like to see more identities and people from different orientations also step up and come into the corporate industry, so we can all work and just becomes a breeding ground for education and to understand different cultural backgrounds. It also makes us more empathic and understanding towards different other cultures, because if I'm coming from a culture that you don't know, you can learn something from me, and vice versa. It also brings in inclusivity and equality, and we also have a chance to learn and grow, to understand where other people come from, and just it's nice to have different cultures and diversity within the working environment. And this also does actually retain top talent. So if you're a company that has a lot of diversity, there more people would like to stay within the company, and there's more loyalty within towards the company. Next would be traditions. Us Gen Zers, we don't necessarily care about traditions, but that doesn't mean we don't respect the already existing traditions that should be inside a company. But we also tend to go ahead and bring in our own ideas and renovate these traditions that might be old, that might be outdated, but we would also like to bring in something and to like say, okay, this is a little outdated. This might be a tradition, but it's a little outdated. Let's bring in something more. And it gives us so like let's take an example for this, and the example would be a flexible work life balance. So back in my parents day, I would say there was like little to no work life balance. They prioritized work more than their life at home, and that was just how things were in that generation. But I feel like in this generation, in our generation, we like to have more of a work life balance. Yes, we do work, but we also want to go out there and experience things more than just being like work work work. And also like changing work dynamics. This could be work from home. So after COVID-19, I'm sure everyone is pretty familiar with work from home, as creative also does give us the opportunity to work from home when necessary. And gig economy and freelance. These are just some things that go against the normal norm traditions of the corporate world. And also tech and like digital integration. It pushes down the traditions of maybe our parents or maybe millennials or even before were used to writing things down all the time. But no, we bring in typing things, and it might be a little difficult for them, but it's more easier for us and it takes so much less time. So moving on, we have hierarchy and designation. So hierarchy and designation is something that we care about. We actually do. But at the same time, um, we would like to have a place in the company where we're not put down to our designation. Or you're an intern, you don't have a voice inside the company. That is not what we want. We as a company would love if, even if we're interns or if we're starting junior person, we have a voice, and we would like if people just treated us equally, no matter what kind of hierarchy it is and what kind of designation there is, because this influences and impacts more. And there is like much more space for collaboration as well, because the hierarchy is pretty less. Speaking to my dad a few days ago, I found out that back in his day of working, it wasn't easy to just go up to the boss and ask something. It wasn't easy to just go and talk to the management without consulting your supervisor first. But I feel like most companies nowadays, or at least Gen Zers want, is for us to be able to go to someone who works in a higher position and ask them something. If we're having trouble with something, say something. And for us to not be dismissed because they're a starting person, they're an intern. But no, we would like to have more of a place in the company, whether it's with whatever subject it might be around. And then dress codes. So I see that dress codes are still a big thing, of course. Especially if you work in a bank, I think dress codes are a must to be wearing a full suit, pants, dress shoes, to iron clothes before the night before. Believe it or not, I have friends who work in banks, and the night before I would be on call with them, and they're still ironing their clothes because they have to be presentable, and that's how banks work, of course. But IT industries, I feel like, are a little laid back more on dress codes, and I think Gen Zers are thriving for it, because dress codes aren't just about, oh, I can wear what I want, but dress codes are also it lets you express yourself more. It helps you show who you are. So if you're someone who likes streetwear, say you're someone who likes wearing baggy t-shirts, pants, a chain around your neck, and that is your style, that is who you represent. So dress codes are a must, and I'm not saying that if we're going to meet a client or a client a meeting that we shouldn't dress appropriately. That's not it, because we should at the end of the day. But for day-to-day work days, it's okay to just wear something that we would like. Of course, it should adhere to the dress code policies that the company might have. But at the end of the day, Gen Zers more, it feels a little restricting to put ourselves, okay, we have to wear dress pants and dress shirts and dress shoes, look presentable. It's sometimes it's a little restricting. So it's nice to just have that opportunity to, seek out into our own fashion as well. And moving on, let's talk about stagnance. How do you feel if you are stuck in the same position, working the same thing over and over again? Well, for people who worked in my parents' era, they might not have much of a chance or to do what they want because the opportunities were less. But nowadays it's not the case because it's very different. So being stagnant is something that Gen Zers aren't really, we don't really like it because we have a desire for growth, we have a desire for development, and we are changing the job market. As currently we are changing it for the better. I hopefully for the better. And we also have a purpose and a meaning. So when we're restricted into this one thing that we're doing for maybe years and we don't even like it, there might be a problem. So stagnance is something that Gen Zers don't exactly like. Yes, we want to do our best in the job, but we also want something that we can learn and develop ourselves each and every single day. And moving on, we want a life experience. At work, we don't just want just a job. That's not the meaning of what we want. We want a life experience. We want opportunities. And maybe that's not every company is able to open those doors for their employees. But nowadays, as Gen Zers are putting themselves out into the corporate industry, we are able to open those doors and ask for companies, hey, I know I'm doing this position, but I would like to try out this as well. And most companies nowadays, they would say, yes, we would love to, and they would help you out. So that is something that Gen Zers would love to see. So yeah, when it comes to work and career, Gen Zers are slowly stepping in. And if you're someone who's much older and you don't understand how Gen Zers work, I hope you have some patience because we're just starting off and we're trying our hardest. So make sure to give us a chance, give us a voice, make sure our voice is heard. And yeah, that would be it for work and career wise that I have to talk about. But I'm sure there are many other topics that Gen Zers would love to talk about when it comes to work and career because it differs from company to company and individual to individual of how they work. So yeah, okay, we'll move on. I hope everyone understood what I said within this slide, and I hope I'm not going too fast. Okay, let's see. So we're moving on to technology. Uh, I think everyone knows that Gen Zers are very savvy with technology. So let's see what we have to say in order of our technology era. Gen Zers, we are born into technology. We are technology driven from the moment we came into this earth because that's how it works. There was technology, and it has not. There has been no day that it hasn't improved because day by day technology is improving, and there's no stopping it. It's happening. So yeah, when it comes to technology and digital age of Gen Zers, we are called an internet dependent generation. Um, well, if you're a Gen Zer, just tap yourself and ask yourself, am I really dependent on the internet? And maybe the answer is yes, maybe no. It really depends on the individual. But at the end of the day, if we take Gen Z as one group, yes, we might be a little internet dependent because most of us can't actually go along without touching our phone, seeing the notification, or at least knowing like, okay, what's going on on Instagram right now, what's trending right now. It's almost like second nature to us. So yeah, we might be an like internet dependent generation, but at the same time, well, it is what it is, right? But it's not a bad thing. I mean, of course, it can have its drawbacks as well. But for the most part, being internet dependent is not exactly a bad thing. Maybe I'm being a little biased because I'm Gen Z as well. But maybe we should ask this from someone who's not Gen Z and see what they say. That's a assignment for you to do. Maybe ask someone or your parents, but I'm pretty sure parents don't exactly like phones to begin with. Okay, so moving on, I would like to say that we are seen and we are heard. And I'm not saying that just because I'm saying it, but I'm saying it because we are actually seen and we are heard. That's thanks to the new development of technology and digital age. Because if we have something to say, all we have to do is grab our phones and tweet it. Someone will see it, someone will hear what we have to say, and someone will might even give their feedback through the comment section. So we are always seen and we are always heard, but we want to make a bigger impact by making sure that the corporate world also sees us and hears us, hears what we have to say. Passions pursued. So moving on, we have our passions. Um, I would bring up a good example. Music. So back in my parents' era, at least, music was something that was really hard to pursue because you had to have the right instruments, you had to have the financial aid in order to afford classes. There was a lot of things going on. But nowadays, it's not the case. You have a mic, you have a phone to record, you have a laptop to upload. That's really all you need. You can make music from your bedroom itself. Back in the day, if you really wanted to become famous, you had to go busking on streets, asking for money, begging people's attention to hear, I have this voice and I want to put it out. Please listen to me sing. But nowadays, you don't really need that. You don't even need a label because back then labels were the people that were driving these artists. You were just as an artist, you're just a little bubble in this box. But nowadays, you don't really need a label. Who needs a label anymore? Because you have your own Instagram. You have a platform that you can share music. I mean, it's always free. YouTube, SoundCloud, these are just a few of the places that Gen Zs use in order to make their brand. We no longer need a label to tell us what to do and to tell us what to post, because we as Gen Zers are driving the industry. We know how to pursue our passions because we have it at our fingertips, and we don't even have to leave the bedroom, if I'm being honest, because we have that much power in us. Moving on to charity and campaigns. So what do you think when it comes to charity and campaigns? If you're not Gen Z, do you think we as a generation are doing better when it comes to campaigns and charities? If someone was to ask me that question, I would say yes, yes, we are actually doing really well. Because back then charities had so much to do with like getting the right paper signed, going to the right person and making sure the things you were doing was okay, government funding. All of this was things that you just needed to check. Okay, I have this, I have this, I have permission to do this and that. But nowadays, you don't really need that. You have charity and campaigns everywhere you look. You open up Instagram, I'm sure you'll find a GoFundMe link for something. And that is the power of Gen Z. All we have to do is post our cause, and there are so many people willing to help just because of the vast use of the internet. For example, I would say the campaigns that are open for to help children in rural areas or to help people, the elderly. There are so many campaigns that are going on online that you don't need to even go anywhere. But of course, we as Gen Zs, we have stepped forward and opened up charities where you can go and donate things. So it's a vast area where you can just do anything you want and you can help anyone you want. And it's always for a good cause. Moving on, we have the 8-second attention span. I think anyone in the old generations could agree to this because they just love saying, oh, you're never paying attention. No, right? So millennials actually had a 12-second attention span, but recent studies have shown that Gen Zs have even less of an attention span of just 8 seconds. So if you're advertising something on social media and it's not eye-catching enough, we're scrolling past it. We do not care because it hasn't grabbed our attention enough. So make sure to keep whatever you're saying in a very short span time, because we as Gen Zers, if it's not something that we are passionate about, it's not something that catches our eye or our mind, we scroll past it very quickly. We don't stay on it and be like, okay, let's see what this person has to say. And we are also drivers of rapid change. Why would I say we are drivers of rapid change? That's because we really are. There are so many things that we have done that are great, that we are dominating the social media industry. We are bringing up entertainment and communication, and we have so much desire for independence. And then we also have the comfort within uncertainty, because we are the generation that grew because of COVID-19 as well. So we are really drivers of rapid change. And there's no stopping that. If anything, change is going to happen more and more as we go, but there's no stopping us, because our generation is just so, we are amazing. And I would say that not just because I'm a Gen Zer, but because if you look around, Gen Zers are everywhere now, and there's no stopping us because we are drivers of rapid change. Okay, so that would be it for this slide. We'll move on to see what else we can find. Okay, so people call us the woke generation. Why do you think people call us the woke generation? Is there a reason we might be a little different compared to the other generations? Surely we are, because one, we're climate conscious. We are very conscious about the environment and climate change, and we're passionate about it. We bring it not just into social media, but we make it happen as well. As a going back into my previous point of campaigns and charity, being climate conscious also links up to it. Why? Because through the charities and campaigns that we do, we are able to help be more climate conscious. I would like to bring up a really good Gen Z example for this is Greta Thunberg. I hope you guys know who that is, and if you don't, then I'll just give you guys little background of who that is. So Greta Thunberg was a 15-year-old girl who stopped going to school. She striked and she's Swedish, in order to make the Swedish government look at her and be like, okay, she has something to say. So every day she would skip school and just protest by herself on the streets with no help whatsoever. She would just hold a banner and just protest by her own. And that was a 15-year-old little girl who people didn't think much about. Okay, she's just standing on the street, not a big deal. No one really cares. We'll pass by her. But no, because we are from the generation of the internet, it went viral. She went viral, and her voice was heard and seen by not just the Swedish government, people around. It was just her on the first day of the strike, but the next day there was more people, and the day after there was even more people. So are we really climate conscious because we want to be climate conscious? No, because we actually care. And because of Greta's movement like that, it wasn't just a Swedish problem. It wasn't just a problem for the Swedish government to tackle, but there was United Kingdom, the US, Netherlands, Finland, Belgium, all people all around these countries stood up with her through social media and in person in order to help her become this climate activist she is today. We also love educating people. So if you ask a Gen Z any question that you might not know the answer of, and you might think, okay, that person might laugh at me for asking this, but no, we actually love encouraging people to educate themselves, whether it's by us or Google. We love telling people, okay, so this is the topic, and this is what it has under, and you can know more information if you Google it for yourself. We love educating people, and it doesn't come from just having the access to internet. As I said, we actually do care. So as men's mental health month was coming up, there were so many posts around social media that was going in order to bring awareness to it. And it's something that's great, because back in my father's day, as I was talking to him, not many people cared about the mental health of men. But now in 2023, that's very different. It's very different because we as Gen Zers are bringing in more attention to it, attention to things that need attention. and not just things that we think, oh, okay, no one really cares about it. Because at the end of the day, people do care. People want to care. It's just they don't have a voice to pursue it. But with the help of social media and how strong our minds are, it's become something that we can do very easily. Okay, moving on, spreading awareness. Spreading awareness also links up to the previous point of wanting to spread awareness. So as I said, it was Men's Mental Health Month. We shared it. There were so many posts being shared around, bringing awareness to as to why it was important to give the spotlight to men on this month and what we can do to help. And then spreading awareness about just anything really. If it's regarding schools, if it's regarding universities, just any topic that needs awareness, you'll see it on social media. And equal opportunity. Gen Zers love when there's equal opportunity available. If you take the IT industry, maybe 10 years back, there wasn't a lot of females in the industry because the chances were low. But nowadays, look around you, there's always females around as well, which is great because it gives an equal opportunity for females to come forward and say, okay, I have something to something that would benefit you guys as well. Moving on, we have discrimination. So I think if you open Instagram or if you open TikTok nowadays, you can always see some kind of maybe a person that is not able-bodied, but is still making content and making awareness into what they're doing. So discrimination is something that we are trying to put an end to, but it's not always easy, as not everyone thinks the same. Even if you're a Gen Zer, we don't all think the same because we're all different individuals. But discrimination is something that we want to put an end to. That's why we have so many platforms that have like give voice to people that are not able-bodied or people that have really bad mental health issues. These people might be dismissed, but us Gen Zers, we want to hear them. We want to see what's wrong. How can we educate ourselves in order to help that person? How can we make their life easier? Because we need to educate ourselves in order to know, okay, this is what's wrong. This is what this topic might be about. Let's see, let's just hear out this person. So yeah, might as well. It's not on the slide, but I would also like to add that we are risk takers as well. Why are we considered risk takers? I mean, come on. If you're a Gen Zer, ask yourself why would I be considered a risk taker? Maybe you're not. I wouldn't say this is for all Gen Zers, but majority of us are risk takers. Why? I mean, is it a question? We grew up on the era of Avengers, Hunger Games, Divergent. Of course, we're risk takers. We love taking risks, even if it's an uncertain future that shows ahead. And that's just how we are. We want to bring in something different, something that no one has ever seen before. I mean, we're so cool. We've taken a picture of the black hole and even the nebula. And it's all something that we can learn something from. So that's a bit about why we're called a woke generation. And if you're someone from the older generations, as I said earlier, I hope you guys are a little more patient with us because, of course, we don't think the same way. We don't really do things the same way, but it doesn't mean that there is no space to understand each other and to just develop and grow. So that would be it for this slide. We could move on. Okay, so this is a little bit of a more fun area that we could, do. Internet slang, or more as Gen Z words. These are just words that we've come up with, or like the internet has come up with. I mean, come on, TikTok, Instagram, Twitter, these are breeding places for new words, or the short forms that maybe your boss or your supervisor might not understand. So it's a great opportunity for you to be like, hey, okay, these are the words and these are the meanings for it. So let's just see what are these words and what kind of impact do they do in our daily usage, because I know for a fact Me being a Gen Zer, I use short term and all these words, and sometimes my coworkers who are a little older would not understand. A good example, which is funny also, would be recently we were talking about burial. Me and the other Gen Zers on my floor, we were talking about burial, and my other coworker looked at me and was like, "What, bagel?" So it was a little funny. It was a little funny. But it's not like we laughed at her. We made sure to educate her and tell her, okay, yeah, it's not bagel actually. It's burial. It's this app. You know, you have to be a little soft with them. They don't really understand, and that's not their fault. But okay, so let's move on to see what kind of words we use day to day in order to make our lives easier and a little fun. But let's keep this slide a little interactive with the audience. Okay, so moving on, we have Gen Z slang, which I would love to have the audience also support me when we're talking about this area. Uh, let's see, L and W. When someone says, "Oh, it's an L and W move," what does that really mean? Can we have someone from the audience to turn on their mic? Is Chandamini there? Chandamini, could you tell me what L and W means?
Mm, I have no clue about it.
You have no clue what L and W means. If I put it into a sentence, do you think you would be able to say have a clue on what it is? If I say, "Oh, that was an L move," or that was a really L person," what do you think that means? Okay, I think Chandamini is a little shy to come to the. Oh, is she there? Hi, Chandamini.
Is it glossa sandwich?
No, it doesn't mean that. But L and W, I'll explain so you can understand what it means. L and W basically means to say, oh, it was a loser or like a win kind of situation. So it was like a loss or win kind of situation, but also a loser kind of situation. So if someone does something bad or like negative, we'll be like, oh, that's such an L person, or that was such an L move. But if it's a good thing, that's we'll say, oh, it's such a W move, W video, W person. It's a good sign. So they're both like positive and negatives. We'll try to have someone else now, but thanks, Chandami. Thank you for your input. Lishan, if you're on the call, could you please tell me the meaning of drip?
I actually have no idea, Chamithri, but do you want me to have a guess?
Yeah, you can have a guess. Tell me a suggestion of what you think drip means.
Is there a possibility where you can use that in a sentence?
Okay. I really like his drip. I really like his drip today.
Style, fashion? I don't know.
Style, fashion. You're absolutely correct. That is great. So let's all give a round of applause for Lishan to coming up with it. Yay! Great, Lishan. Yes. So drip means someone's fashion or the outfit that they're wearing on that particular day. I could, if I'm using it in a sentence, I would be like, oh, I love that girl's drip. She's really cool in it. So it's about fashion. Okay, we'll move on to the next one. Living rent free. Okay, let's see who in the audience is able to reply to that. Someone's mic is on, by the way. Living rent free. Shall we give that to Tilani? Is Tilani available right now? If you could please turn on your mic and tell me the meaning of living rent free.
Yeah, I think when it comes to songs, we say that this song is living rent free in my mind, sort of thing.
Oh, right.
Can't forget
Great.
something.
Yes, great. And guys, just to say, Tilani is not a Gen Zer, so we'll all give another round of applause to Tilani for being able to answer the question. So yeah, living rent free is when we have like obsessive thoughts about something that might be might not be just a person but a thing as well. As she said, this song is living in my mind rent free, or that person, or if you like someone, you could say, oh, this girl is living in my mind rent free, this guy is living in my mind rent free. So yeah, that is what living rent free means. Next one I'll explain. It means catch these hands. What does it mean when someone says, okay, she's about to catch these hands? What does that exactly mean? It means that you're about to fight someone. So if you make someone angry and they say they're about to catch these hands, it means that they're angry and they're about to throw a good fist, maybe to your face. We never know. All right, next one would be no cap. So if you're talking to someone who's younger, who might be Gen Z, and they say no cap, what do you think that means? It basically means no lies told. So if I say, oh, I really like that person's dress outfit, they'll be like, no cap. Or like, I really like, did you hear what that person said? I think it sounds really wrong. And they'll be like, no cap. So yeah, that's what no cap means. And we'll move on to ghosting, which again, I think I'll take someone from the audience to ask what ghosting means. Let me see. How about Deomini? Deomini, if you're on the call, could you please turn on your mic and tell me what you think ghosting means?
Yeah, so basically ghosting is plainly ignoring someone or just leaving them on red.
Okay, great. And I'm not surprised Domini would know this because she's a Gen Zer herself. So that's great. Yes, but ghosting means leaving someone on red or like leaving someone undelivered. Say you're texting someone and you maybe like this person, not like this person. It can just, be in whatever context. But after texting, and if you think, okay, I no longer want to text this person, you just ghost them and you just not text back, and that usually is considered as ghosting. Moving on, we have the word cheugy. So it's a bit of a new word. What do you think cheugy is? Maybe you could use this word for your managers or supervisors who are a little older. But cheugy basically means someone who's not up to date, someone who's not trendy, someone who's not really, how would I say, up to date with whatever's happening right now. So that is what cheugy means. So you could just look at your coworker and be like, hey, you're kind of cheugy because you're not up to date with what's going on. So that could also be a way that you could use this word cheugy. Moving on, I think we should take someone from the audience for this word again. Tweaking. Let's see. Can Karen tell us what tweaking means?
So being a millennial, how we use the word tweaking is when we want to improve something or probably like to write something cleverly. For example, I would say, can you tweak this letter a little bit, or can you tweak this paragraph a little bit? Something like that.
Sure. Okay. Thank you so much, Karen, for your input. But you're not that close, but you're not off because I can't say you're wrong because you are right as well. Because tweaking, the literal meaning is yes, to fix something, maybe tweak the radio station. That's what it was meant to be. But in Gen Z's language, we call tweaking as someone who's overreacting. Say your boss is going at you and you don't know why. You're just like, oh, she's tweaking because she's overreacting. Maybe she's just angry with something else, taking it on you. You never know, but it's just tweaking, overreacting. Oh, that person's tweaking. So that's how you use the word tweaking. Moving on, we have bread. What do you think bread means? I mean, literally, when you look at the word, you have the meaning to it, right? Bread, something you eat. But no, not really. In Gen Z's word, we call bread as cash, quick money, future money. We call it as bread. So we say, I would say, okay, let me take myself for an example. I told my friend, hey, I got a job at Creative Software back in December. She was like, girl, go ahead, get that bread. What does that mean? Get that money, get that bag, secure that bag is what bread means. And then lastly, we have the word salty. So again, it's a literal word. Like you can look at it and be like, okay, I know that what that word means. If you're not a Gen Z person, I mean, but if you're a Gen Z person, you know that that's not the meaning of what it really is. Well, in our words at least. So when we say we're salty, it means someone who's like annoyed or upset for some unreasonable thing. Say, okay, you took your sister's dress and you think she's being unreasonable for being annoyed or mad at you. So you're like, I don't know why she's being salty. It's just a t-shirt. It's just a dress. I don't know why she's being salty. So yeah, that is how you use the word salty. And that brings us to the end of Gen Z slang. And I hope you guys learn something. If you're not in Gen Z, I hope you guys at least like take a picture of the slide if you don't remember the words afterwards, because these are just words or phrases that Gen Zs use on the day-to-day basis, because I know I do, and it's not, it's not unfamiliar for us. But if you, as someone who's older, someone who's not a Gen Z, hears these words and be like, what in the world are they talking about? Then you can refer to this and be like, okay, I get it. This is what they mean. And it's not just the literal meaning, like tweaking. So yeah, that would be the end for the Gen Z slang. And next, well, that's it. There's no next. We've come to the end of the presentation. Thank you guys so much for listening, and I hope you guys learned something. I hope you guys understood a little bit about how Gen Zs work. Yeah, really, it was a fun topic to talk about as a Gen Zer myself. And before I go, I want to ask the audience if they have any questions, anything that they want to clear their doubts about, anything that piques their curiosity. This would be the time to ask. Okay. Well, if there's no questions to ask, I think we can wrap this up. So thank you so much for sticking by and making sure to understand something. I hope you guys took something out of this. And before I leave, I want to just give a little bit of an advice, a little bit of a quote that I recently saw on social media that really stuck with me. So it's always to work on your character. Always be true to who you are, because at the end of the day, your character is who you are, and your reputation is who people believe you are. So always work on your character, and your reputation might come with it. So yeah, that would be it, and thank you so much for joining. That would conclude the presentation. Senia, are you there?
Chamithri, so thank you very much for today's session, and I think everyone enjoyed it. And also there is a small feedback from Kavind as well on the chat. So I think everyone enjoyed the session today, and I think yeah, thank you very much for this exciting presentation that you did for us today.